Hello, good evening. Welcome here to What's New on the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So finally, it's been about 3-4 weeks now that I've been planning to do this video, and I had to keep putting it off and putting off. So finally, I've decided to put it under the What's New for this week, and now it's going to get done here finally. So we're doing the Flower Kings Love album. As you know, it's been on the agenda for some time. So this was released May the 2nd, 2025. It's about 71 minutes in length total. It's on the Inside Out label and was produced by Roy Stolt. Okay, so the personnel on this, and I'm going to butcher some of these names, please be forgiving. Mirko DeMaio on drums and percussion, Haas Frosberg on lead vocals and guitar, Lal Larson on keyboards, piano, mellotron, organ, and synthesizer, Michael Stolt on bass and guitar, synthesizers, and vocals, and Wright Stolt on lead vocals, guitars, keys, and percussion. Additional people performing on the album: Janica Lund on vocals on "We Claim the Moon." Sorry, "We Claim the Moon." Um, This one I'm gonna really brutalize a bit. Bruno's son on percussion on the Kaiser Razor, and uh, Alec Alexander, that's how I think he's pronouncing, even though it's spelled kind of different. Yasinski on accordion on the Promise. Okay, there are 12 tracks in total on this album. So my overall view of the album is it's a little bit on the slow melodic side. Um, Definitely has a ton of synthesizer and keyboard parts throughout it, so it's pretty dominant by those two instruments throughout, with the guitar soloing throughout almost every track, almost always melodic and slow in nature, the guitar soloing. They've got the vocals. You got a couple different sounds. You got this lower kind of husky sound to most of the vocals, and then you have a much higher sound that's a little bit clearer. Probably the two different vocalists. And there is one track, which I listed here, where there is some female vocals on it as well. The overall feel of the album, I think, is symphonic, slow, melodic, symphonic prog. But there are, surprisingly to me, because I'm not as familiar with the Flower Kings, I do have one of their albums, but um, there is some of that kind of jazzy feel to it, jazz fusiony feel to it. I wouldn't say that they are a multi-instrumentalist, um, boon for multi-instrumentalism, sorry, but they do play a multitude of instruments here. It's not as intricate as you might find on a Gentle Giant album, but it's very kind of got a round, mellowy edge to it, if that makes any sense to you. So it's not cutting at all. I don't find it cutting at all. I I overall didn't like a lot of the tracks. I found the album kind of a bit unmemorable. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times now, and nothing really sticks in my brain. The opening track, maybe a little bit. The rest of the tracks kind of don't stick in my brain a lot. I'm not going to go through them in great detail because um, I don't think it requires it. I think pretty much summed up what I had to say in that little brief opening. So the first song, "We Claim the Moon," probably my favorite track on the album, so I will spend a little bit of time on this track. It's got a kind of an up-tempo, heavy guitar and drum-dominated track. The vocals are moderate, nothing terribly memorable about them. Keyboard solos along with the guitar is dominant throughout this track. It's got a strong, intricate instrumentation here throughout the track, and the keyboard solo is dominant at the end of the track. So overall, it was arranged in a kind of a little bit of a catchy way. The rest of the tracks, not so much. There's kind of a bit of meandering throughout the album. There's no chorus to speak of anywhere that I can see. And that's not totally disconnected from most prog, at least modern prog. They don't use that chorus, traditional rock chorus kind of thing going on. There's none of that here. The second song, The Elders, a bit more moderate and mellow, but passive at the same time. Vocals are more moderate, and there's a couple of people doing the vocals here on this particular track. It's going to be almost a ballad-like feel to it. Guitar solo is melodic but upbeat, and the times a bit of a jazzy feel to this track. How Can You Leave Us Now? It's got a piano dominated with a strong bass opening. Vocals are clear and high. Another ballad-like track. Yeah, nothing too bad here. It's got a slow melodic guitar solo. You're going to see that throughout the album as well. Next up is this World Spinning. This is just a instrumental, very pastoral, very pastoral-like with some synthesizer parts to it. Has a Genesis-like feel to it at times too. The keyboards and the synthesizer, of course, are dominant. Now we're going to go on to the back half here. Flip my notes over. So next up is Burning Both Edges. Another, I didn't really care much for this track or the next track, Rubble. They're both kind of too slow, melodic. Nothing really memorable about either of the tracks. I did make some notes about them, but it's not really worth mentioning. Kaiser Razor, which is the next track, really, this is a short song, 2 minutes and 30 seconds or so. I did like this one a little bit more. It's slow, melodic, but heavy, jazzy, like up-tempo beat to it. The song picks up pace throughout the middle of the track. Drums, guitar, keyboard dominate it. Lots of melodic instrumentation here, and it is another instrumental. I think they have 2 or 3 on the album. Next one's called The Phoenix. This is a slow, loving song, I guess maybe you might want to call it. It's got an acoustic harmonics to open on the guitar. Slow melodic guitar solo. The vocals are moderate but clear. The Promise, another slow melodic but clear vocaled song. Almost folky at parts and got some nice keyboard acoustic stuff going on. It does pick up a little bit of tempo on the keyboard sounds throughout, but nothing really dominating. The next track, Love is a little bit longer track, over 6 minutes. It's got a slow melodic harmony like vocal sounds, so there's a couple things going on here. Keyboard driven, strong, rhythmic background. Probably the most rhythmic of any of the songs on the album, at least in my opinion, anyways. It's got a nice heavy solo, guitar solo, and it's got this epic sound throughout, like it's trying to create a almost operatic sound to it. Next up is Walls of Shame, synthesizer. Couldn't get it out, eh? Atmosphere throughout this track with both piano and guitar parts throughout. Slow, melodic, got a bit of a husky voice on this particular track. The song grows into like a heavy solo guitar, uh, kind of it's heavy solo guitar feeling to it. Um, the drums are more forward in this mix than some of the other tracks. The final track, I didn't really care for it. I did listen to it several times and just couldn't pick up any kind of vibe for it. It's heavy laden with lots of synthesizer and keyboard part sounds. At point, it gets a little bit more quiet. The voice is probably a little more husky sounding. Um, yeah, nothing really much to mention on this track that's worth spending too much time on. Not a great track, but not a bad one. There's nothing bad here at all. Just not as memorable. That's probably my problem with the album, is it's not really all that memorable to me. Nothing's catching. Maybe it will after I listen to it for a while, but it hasn't been at this point. So, anyways, that's the review of the album. The Flower Kings Love album, released this year in May 2nd, I believe. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of What's New. Now I'm getting the hiccups. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of What's New. Please hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to make any comments about this album, or if you don't like my review, you can mention that, or if you prefer to not really say anything, that's okay as well. Anyways, please hit the like and subscribe, and we will see you next week on What's New. So take care and have yourself a good one. Goodbye.